Hello, hello, hello. We are live. It is Wednesday night. I see some familiar faces coming in, but let's get started. What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Stevie V. This is episode 715 alongside Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Can't wait for tonight. It's going to be a good show.
Yes, exactly. And it is kind of diving right into it. I just launched a new app, and episode 714 reflected that. And the app really was struck by our show because it has to do with helping people connect. It's called Confidence and Connect. I will give where you can find it in a minute. And for those of you we're doing a whole promotion right now where you can get 20% off through Black Friday. But what really struck me is we're in a time right now where I really feel like we need to connect in many ways. And by connection, it just means deeper friendships that matter, that chosen family. How do we go about that? Tips and tricks and daily meditations and work within the app that allow you to become more confident as an LGBTQ person, and then ultimately to put yourself out there to meet meaningful relationships. And if that means dating, we cover that in the app as well. So making the most of the people that you meet and trying to develop true connections in your dating life as well. And if you do the program that I've developed, there's a, depending on where you're at with it, you can set a basically a curriculum, if you will. It's a
Okay.
coaching app that will get you to ultimately landing that person and quality dates. And all the things within the app are a lot of fun, and they're just working with you and where you're at, and ultimately getting you to a place that you feel confident that when you do go on a date or when you do enter a room, you enter with confidence. And we'll talk more about that. I'm going to be talking a lot about my new app, but for now, I wanted to continue episode 714 to this episode 715. And tonight we're kind of talking a little bit about confident dating, how to kind of show up as the real you. And that might seem easy, but it isn't always, because we're diving into the kind of confidence that actually matters in dating, not the bravado, the curated Instagram persona that we all put up at times, or the fake it for the date version. We're going to be talking about the kind of grounded, self assured presence that makes you magnetic. And I love that word, magnetic,
Ooh.
relaxed, and emotionally available so that you can actually connect with somebody. And we're going to break down why LGBTQ queer dating feels often intimidating, and how to stop shrinking yourself over performing on dates, and what it really means to show up as the real you. And we're going to talk about confidence is not the moments we've lied to ourselves to be chosen, and how dating confidence evolves with age and experience. So let's dive into it, because there is a version of you that walks into a date already knowing you're enough, not performing. Have you ever, like, if you were to think, Kodi, maybe some of your early dates where you walked in, I'll just use myself first, you can tell me what you think, but there was a time where it was an interview. You know, when you go into an interview and you've done all your research on, hopefully, on the company that you're trying to get hired for,
Uh-huh.
and you know your resume, you should know your resume backwards and forth, that you can talk about and put your best foot forward. I used to do that with my dates too, where
Oh,
perhaps I embellished at times parts of my life to put a certain persona that I thought that person would like. I also used to do things when I was younger where if somebody said they liked something, I would find a way to say, "Oh, I, I like that too. Even if I didn't, I would almost find a way, and it was really a facade that I was putting up, and I had a friend, a very close friend of mine, that said, "You never really show a side of yourself," and it was a dear friend of mine that is honest and real, I feel, and I'm like, "Really?" And it really struck me, but he was being really
Wow.
sincere with me,
Yeah.
and I realized I did have a shield and a persona that I was putting on, and for me, it took a little while longer to no, be comfortable with myself and to really own myself. The thing that I took away with that I still do is I find maybe 3 things that I'm working on or that are exciting about my life right now, and I have those kind of ready to go in a new meeting of some sort. That's not from my perspective putting on a facade, it's just having those things that I know I'm excited about and things that went on in my day that I could tell somebody about, and that's what kind of what I imparted with. But have you ever put on a persona or felt like in times of dating, it wasn't really you or you were looking down at yourself?
Oh, definitely, especially when I was younger. In my 20s, I feel like that's something that I did all the time. I feel like I was constantly second guessing whether I was enough. I still do it now, but I now know how to fight back those thoughts of not feeling like I am enough for someone or any situation. Uh, it is an ongoing battle because self-worth is always something that you constantly are grappling with. I feel, especially for me, because maybe this isn't therapy. But I feel like maybe some things in my childhood or some things that growing up were embedded in me has me constantly second guessing myself. So I think that as I've gotten older, and I know we're going to probably get to this a little bit later, as I've gotten older, I've learned how to contend with those thoughts that make me feel like I'm not enough. But yes, definitely when I was younger, I would send the representative into the date, and I would cater myself to how I felt my date what he wanted to see out of me. Because, especially because I feel like I dated a lot of older guys when I was younger too. So I feel like I fit the mold for me to get a boyfriend because that was the main goal. So I would do a lot in order to attain that.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I dated a lot of older guys as well, and often those men were very well accomplished, and I'm thinking about a time in LA when I was an actor, and maybe I didn't really have an acting gig going on at the moment, but
Hmm.
I was in acting class or I was working behind the desk at a trainer gym, and it didn't, in my mind, seem interesting enough to say that, and I felt really like I had to make up stuff almost. And instead of just thinking, no, I am worth enough. And I think that's where we get often, we look at confidence as being perfect. And it's really not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about being relaxed and it's about being present. And those are kind of the things that we work on in my app tips and daily things that come up that you can work on to be present, to be in the moment,
Yes.
and realizing that you're enough, that that's really why maybe somebody came to date you or want to go on a date. And I think those are really important things. But it can be awkward or stressful for many of us LGBTQ people, right? When we're going on dates.
Oh
I think,
yeah.
yeah.
The,
I mean,
the
is
gays are
dating still
judging. No.
alive? Cody?
I've I've been on a couple dates. I Dating for me is way different now than it was before I got out of my relationship, or even before I was in my relationship. I felt like I didn't really put on a facade, but I feel like for me before, I would. Be so gung ho about making this relationship into something that I would uh, put too much, go too hard for on the date. I felt like maybe I wasn't misrepresenting myself, but I feel like I was being a little bit extra. I feel like for me,
Hmm.
it and like then that in and of itself, I feel like there's an inauthenticity to it, because I feel like now that I'm more relaxed when I go on dates, because I don't put that pressure on it. I don't put that same pressure as far as, oh, I have to make this work. I have to make sure that this guy is my one true love for the rest of my life. That is the pressure I would put on myself on these dates before. But now I'm like going and wanting to make a connection, or seeing if there's even a connection there, because not all the time is there going to be one. So now I feel like there's a lot of pressure that I'm alleviating from myself when I go on dates. So yeah, that's working out a lot better for me.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a lot of examples on gay dating, on how to be, how to, and we have this misconception that confidence means being bold, loud, flirty, dominant, and that's kind of what you were saying. And I don't think that's really what it is. It's those are total misconceptions about how we should be, and I think we often put that out in when we're dating, and the reality is I notice something about when I'm nervous energy. Just to use an example that just happened recently, I was called into jury duty, right? And I
Okay.
got picked
Mhm.
on a trial. And when we were deliberating, there's 12 of us, and I noticed that when everyone's face is looking at me, all 12 people in a conference room looking at me, my voice changes a little bit. It's
Okay.
yeah, but I planted my feet down and I owned it, but I could see how it's not a date, but when everyone's eyes are on me and when it's like you have to present facts or why you believe that this person is either guilty or not guilty, because that's what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
And I really believed in one way than the other. It was me and
Yeah.
this Middle Eastern woman that we were like on the same, we were fighting for, and ultimately we got the result we wanted. That's about all I can tell because we're not supposed to talk about this case. But I noticed that my voice can get a little quivery at first. And I've noticed that
It
when
happens
I've
to
been
me
around
too.
somebody that I really like too, that it's hard for me to control the quivery side of my voice, but I've learned to own that side of it and just relax into it. And that's taken a lot of time. And to also take a beat and a breath too, that helps me get into a relaxed mode so that I say what I really mean and I'm not just making up stuff too. This trial was a really good example of that because I had to really back up the facts for what I was fighting for
Yeah.
this one result. This is also something you can use when you're dating too, and because you want to acknowledge that there's a nervous side to yourself, but you want to like somehow relax into it. And if that just means slowing down your speed, grounding your feet a little bit more, that quivery side of yourself you can just own. I just know that's always going to be, if I'm nervous, that's always just going to be a little bit of where I'm at, and then I will sink into my
Yeah.
confidence. But there are kind of tips and tricks that work. And, as queer people, we build up this armor to protect ourselves, and we have a lot of internalized fear of rejection, and we can confuse chemistry with validation. When you've been on dates before, and when do you dive into like a flirty side when you know it's working? And then I want to talk about when you know, okay, this is not working.
Yeah, I definitely I dive into my flirty side to kind of to alleviate stress, that and to be funny. So if I'm on a date and I find the guy attractive, because if I don't find the guy attractive, then I might if they don't look like their picture, I might just hop on out of there. I might say hello and be like, I don't think this is gonna work, and then leave. But uh, but if I am on a date and I find the guy attractive, I think I automatically go to flirty, because again, it's like you said, it's a defense mechanism. It's armor that I put on, that and being funny.
But that's good if
Uh,
you're flirty with somebody that you're attracted to. I mean, that's a good thing.
oh, definitely. So I think that for me, when are we going down the how do I know if it's going well road yet?
Sure.
Or okay, so how I know it's going well is if something, if we are connecting and it seems to be reciprocal. I feel like for me, when people are vibing and the conversation is flowing back and forth as opposed to one person dominating and putting all their input out there into the world, I feel like that is how you know when two people are actually bouncing off one another and the vibe is good. So I think that's, for me, that's how I know if the date is going well. I mean, sometimes they don't call me back, so I might not be right, but
I mean, you're right.
but
It's like a really good tennis match, right? You're in
yeah,
it, you're in the game. It's toss back and forth. It's natural. There's should be some flirtiness going on. You're listening. You're maybe asking questions on what you heard. They're, of course, hopefully asking things about you. And it's this really nice back and forth, like a really good tennis match that you're enthralled with and into, as opposed to maybe somebody only talking about themselves,
yeah.
or you're putting on a facade that's not really you, and you just want to you can't get out of there, fast enough. Was there a moment where you toned down your personality or hid something like your sexual preferences, or to avoid judgment?
Probably definitely when I was younger, I feel like I would tone down my personality. Again, when you're younger, I feel like for me, I just wanted to have a boyfriend and I would do whatever I could. And I think part of it was making myself look and feel smaller in order to maybe be a better match, because like in your mind, I feel like especially for me when I was younger, I feel like when in order to feel attractive, you have to be more amicable when it comes to a relationship. So if you're and I feel like this is also true in my friends relationship. When I was younger in my 20s, I feel like I was just there to get along. You go along to get along, you do what you can do in order to make the road as smooth as possible. And honey, that did not work out for me. That made me shrink myself. It made me not step into who I am as an individual. It made me pour into someone else's cup instead of pouring into my cup. And that is not Kodi now, definitely. So
Yeah.
I really only advocate for you to make yourself and your personality. If they can't handle it, then they're not for you, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there was a time where I realized that I'm really good at listening and asking questions. I've interviewed for a living for so many years, so that
Mhm.
part of showing interest, but I was almost fun flirty Barbie. I could turn that on
Yeah.
and have quick banter and something that was cute and fun, but then show interest. But then I realized then that was a little bit of a facade too, that I wasn't going, not that you have to go deeper. It's funny because we're going to talk about a story in a little bit where somebody said something, a celebrity said something to another celebrity that they wanted their children in the first date, and they're still together and they're having a baby. We'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't, I mean, I guess we could incorporate that when it's too much. It was Pete Davidson and his model girlfriend, that what's her name,
It
Elsie
yes.
Elsie Hewitt,
Do it.
that they're
Yes.
now having a baby together. But on the first date, she basically told him that he would be the baby daddy on date number 1. I didn't do that with my first date with Diego, but I did tell early on to a friend of his at the New York Eagle. I said, he will be my boyfriend. That's all there is to, and to this day, our friend Chris, I'll just shout him out, Chris, and he came to the wedding too. He was like, "You called it out early on. You
Yes.
said that you are going to be boyfriends with him." And it wasn't date number 1. I didn't tell Diego that, but I did tell his good friend that early on, because I knew it. When you know it, you know it, I think.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I wouldn't
Yeah, and
recommend that early on,
there's
but
something about manifesting things, especially if you feel the connection. If you don't, like, if you're just like I was in my 20s, just trying to make anybody your husband, then I definitely could see how that could be an issue. But if you are emotionally mature, if you're taking a lot of things into consideration, if you are not just trying to, if you don't do it to every single person you go on a date with, then I think there's something to be said for manifesting something, especially if you that connection you feel is real.
Absolutely. Doug, watching us live, says, for me on a first date, when I'm nervous, I tend to talk a lot and ramble. It's something I've had to work with over the years. Doug, I can totally, in my early years, I definitely did the same thing too. And it's filling space. And it's funny because one of the things on my new app that I address on there is that just taking a beat and being comfortable being silent for a moment in the company of somebody new that you're interested in, not feeling like you have to fill it with words that don't mean anything. And we do a lot of, there's all kinds of exercises on my new app that really hone you in to ground yourself a little bit, but we all fall into that that side of ourselves that feel like fill the time with words, and it's okay to just be in the company of somebody new and not feel like you have to just say something. And so I love that you shared that because I've definitely been there, and that's part of my new app that addresses issues like that, which I really love. Okay, and then moving on to let's talk about things that tropes, maybe things that we've always felt that were within our community that we had to be. So performance modes, things like the cool guy, the mask for mask approval seeker, the emotionless flirt, the hyper competent, I have no needs. Basically, you're cool, too cool for school. How these performances help or avoid us. These are things that, or maybe, Kodi, it's putting on that masculine front that we think that's what, I used to do that back in the day where because I have a deeper voice,
Mhm.
that I would lower my voice a little bit more
Oh,
and make
okay,
it sound,
Barry. You better get it, Barry
and
White.
although I can do that lower voice for a lot of our promos and I use it for work, but it's really not how I speak. And somebody once clocked me and said, "That's not exactly how you always sound." And because I've worked with my voice for so long, it is a version of my voice. But when I'm talking to Diego, I'm not always in this lower mode.
Yeah.
But I used it because I thought that's what the potential date wanted to hear. My actual speaking voice is a combination of what you hear like on this show, and sometimes I'm higher and all over the place. And we
Yeah.
talked about gay voice the other day, that how we're comfortable with that now. What are some of the common tropes that are out there that maybe you've used or avoided throughout the years when you've met somebody?
Oh, definitely the ditzy blonde in my
Really? Oh,
20s.
that's so
Oh,
funny. I've done
yes.
that too. And
Oh,
I almost feel like
100%.
shame on us as men of
Shame
color
on us because
because I've
I
done that
and
too.
yeah,
Oh my
and
God,
then
I'm so happy you said that because I forgot about that, but I'm guilty of that too. Not now, but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, in my 30s, I let that go because I was like, "You know what? I am not dumb."
far
This
from
time
it.
everybody knew. So, yeah, so definitely the ditzy one. I am
What do you
still
think that was
guilty.
about that we went there?
Okay, therapy. Let's let's go into this. I think for me, it was I didn't want to intimidate anybody. Like I'm already this. Like, look, hello, we are beautiful. We are already so stunning, and to add intelligence on that as well, I think that it could be something that could intimidate a lot of people. So for me, I think, especially in my 20s, I think that a lot of what I was trying to do is not make other people afraid, make other people more comfortable, basically.
And I
And
think it was about, as men of color, for me, it was about people had already put us in boxes throughout the years. I
mm,
had been put, I think I told the story years ago where, as a youngin' back in the day, people when I was really young, I got made fun of for being too dark and all kinds of Mexican things. And then later, I was prized in my early 20s as almost eroticized.
Yeah.
And I decided to use all of those things that people put on me. And then that was just an easy one to go to be kind of the
Yeah.
ditzy sort of on, well, then this is what you get because that's what everybody wanted. But then when you learn about yourself and you realize, oh, yeah, no, that's not, I have an opinion and I have a mind and I went to college and
Yeah.
yeah.
There's so many
So,
things that are layered up in that, but
yeah,
I mean, and I definitely see that, and it's because it's easy for us to go to what people already expect, and,
yeah.
it's it's validating for them, so if they expect that from you, and then you're that, then, it makes them feel better, so, it's just weird, and it's
Vicious
very
cycle.
complicated, and you should stop personally, I think people should stop shrinking themselves to make other people feel comfortable. One thing I do constantly, and I do it today even. I especially at work, I raise my voice in order to not I feel like this is more where I speak, just like what happened with you. I feel like somebody called me out on it, and because I was in life coaching class basically, and they were like, I was answering a question or proposing something, and I would raise my voice to something that I felt would make other people more comfortable. Like, have you ever seen the movie with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence? It is Bad Boys. When they're coming in, they're breaking into the house. He's like, "Don't be alarmed, we're Negroes." I think that I do that thing in order to make other people more comfortable. Yeah, I
Really?
100% I do it. 100%. And
Wow.
I have to unpack it and deconstruct it. And it's useful at work because you want to come off as bubbly so they give you money. But in
Yeah.
real life, I have to break it down.
I think what we're also tapping into is we have so many sides of ourselves and how we present ourselves, and we're daily presenting ourselves to the world. The minute we walk out the door in different scenarios, we're on camera a lot. You're also, you work at a high end, establishment where you're
Yeah,
is hospitality, and that's a different persona. You're a performer, and all of those things can it's beautiful that we have so many different sides to ourselves, but when it comes to like a dating situation, ultimately I think what we're trying to do is hopefully show ourselves, because at the end of the day we're trying to meet somebody that is going to see us on a daily basis, and it's not that performance side, and that's where we're
exactly.
trying to get to show up it. And yes, you want to put your best foot forward on a date, but you also want to give a glimmer into the reality of who you are. So maybe you could read what Bryce is saying or what you wanted to say before I go. Yeah.
What I'm going to say is really quick, and then I'll read what Bryce says. Because, and I agree with you 100%, because the performer is never going to allow the other person to build a connection to you.
Ooh,
I
yes.
know, right? I thought of it. I was like, "Ooh, that's good."
Come on now.
So Bryce says, "When I'm on a date, if I am nervous, I have found success in just telling the guy I am nervous and having a light laugh about it. That works. Oftentimes, the guy will say that he is as well, and that breaks the ice for our natural idiosyncrasies to flow." And then he goes on to say, "Some men of color lean into a softer, ditzier persona, not because it is who they are, but because society embraces that trope far more readily than the stereotypes it projects onto them. This is not always performance, it's survival." So, yeah, definitely two valid points
Wow.
there. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. Why are my notes not working here? But yes, very thank you so much. We want to continue hearing from you. The conversation continues over on our Patreon community. You can go to patreon.com/tags podcast. And okay, thank you. My notes were like frozen for a second. I was like, what
Yeah,
is
they were
going on?
glitching. I had to restart.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So just to kind of wrap this up, we're going to continue this conversation, with confident behaviors that attract the right people. basically, what if you had to ask yourself, because there was a question recently on Reddit that was asking the question, what is your way to ask somebody out? And what's something that you do on a date that's just honest and real that you tell about yourself early on that you know that is putting an honest foot out there, but you also know that is being really real? And then I'll tell mine.
My real age.
Oh, I like
No, I
that.
always have to lead with my real age because that is, first of all, on Grinder and all those sites, I don't put my age on there. So I need people to know that I am this age, and 99% of the time, people are okay with it. But yeah, if I'm being 100% honest, maybe that I love comic books, that I have a very imaginative
Oh, I
side.
like
I
that.
think that that's something that like builds a connection to a lot of people. So yeah, one of those. What about you?
Well, it got me thinking too, because we were talking about a story that we might do next week, but it had to do with Nate Berkus and his
Hmm.
husband Nathaniel, I believe his name, and
Girl.
they basically said the moment they
Jeremiah,
knew
Brett.
Jeremiah that they were going to be together, that they were both going to be in a monogamous relationship. Are those important things that you think we should say in those? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that that's something further down the road. Like I used to be this person where I would jump head first into a relationship trying to make it work. I'm a lesbian at heart. What can I say?
Yeah.
But I don't think now that's something I would mention because who are you to me? We're just on a date. You're just a person that I am trying to connect with. If something decides to grow from that, then maybe we can discuss it down the road. But right now, we don't have that type of connection.
Here's what I would say though, if you are hard and fast about wanting kids and you are hard and fast about monogamy, if like it's a because that's where Nate Berka said he was, that I feel like maybe you should state some of those stuff in your
Really?
profile, at least
Oh
in your
yeah.
profile. And if it comes up in that first date, then discuss it. But if you're trying to really land a husband that's for future, and a lot of people are really in their late 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s, maybe 50s, who knows, want children. And if that's important to you, you kind of need to, I feel like, put that at least in the profile.
You don't think those types of things, some of them are malleable? Like some you can change it, you can go into a relationship, think about it at one way, and then you being with a certain person, you can kind of change your mind as time goes by. Maybe like a year or two, you're like, oh, you know
I
what?
don't, because
No?
even my
Oh wow.
dear friend told her husband at the time that if you want kids, I'm not the person. I don't want
Well,
kids. And that he said, okay, they got married, were married for several years. And ultimately, he did want kids, and he cheated on her.
oh,
And then now he has a kid, but they're close now, but he came back around. He always did want he tried to morph himself into, "Okay, fine, I'll accept that." And I just feel like those are big deals. Monogamy and wanting children are kind
mm.
of like at least state them in the profile of a dating app. Bef- if it comes up on that first date, great, but if those are important to you, those are biggies to me. Like, I don't want
I,
children. I'm a great auntie, uncle. I'm a godparent, but, I don't want that, and dogs, yes, but not yeah.
Look, I don't know. I never say never. I always thought I wanted kids, and I think I still do want kids. But if the right person came along and they didn't want kids, then
Yeah.
I might be okay with not having kids. But again, also, I never thought I wanted a dog, and here I am thinking
Ugh,
about maybe. Oh,
really?
don't even, don't even get excited.
Oh my god.
Maybe. I never thought I wanted one, but I'm like, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it would have to be the right person and it would have to be the right circumstances. So, yeah.
I love it. Well, we want to continue this conversation. We're going to continue it all into next week about connection and confidence, which is by the way, my brand new app is called Connect and Confidence. And you can go to studio.com/Stevie on the web version, or you can go to studio.com/Stevie/connect, and you can get 20% off now through Black Friday. And really, what it is all about what we're talking about. It is about if daily tips, daily meditations to help you get grounded in confidence and you put your whole profile on what you're actually looking for. If it's really just getting out there, if you really need methods to be confident in any type of scenario to meet quality people in your life, this is the app for you. If you're looking on going on quality dates, you can put that in there, and it gives you and actually gives you a plan to, and you've got different lessons that you can go that you can implement, and from a certain period of time you actually will achieve what it is that you're actually going for. So it's called Connect and Confidence. I'm really excited about it. I will put it on wherever you get our information and show notes, but it's really exciting, and I'm really excited about this new
I'm excited
launch.
for
So
you.
yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Um, yes. Oh, Durand watching us live. Hello, Durand says, think about it before you get a dog. Yes,
Girl, they're a lot
exactly.
of work. They're worse than kids.
Yeah, I mean, I had a dog for years here, Mr. Chow. Rest in peace. I loved him so much. And amazing. We're currently dog sitting
Bella's
Bella.
there. Hi, Bella.
She's crazy, but yeah, she's here. Yeah, crazy dog. But yes, exactly.
We love
Let's
Bella.
get, yeah, we love her. Let's get into hot topics. And we had to talk about this third lawsuit that was filed against a high school, Ursuline High School, this time claiming football players assaulted and harassed a gay student. And this is a third federal lawsuit against Ursuline High School football players for harassing a gay student. They did it to, it almost seems when you read this, Kodi, that they're so for this football team. The school is in Ohio, and they're letting this get away with it. It all stemmed the lawsuit. It's a 27-page lawsuit where the grandson of a woman that is gay, and he wears makeup, and he was getting a lot of homophobic slurs thrown at him, and teachers weren't really, other than saying knock it off, weren't doing a whole lot. But it got really
Yeah.
serious, right, Kodi?
Oh,
And
definitely.
the fact that this is the third time and now it's major news, it's a federal lawsuit. What are your thoughts on this? That because I feel like even when we were in school that it didn't get to this level of harassment. I
I
mean, I
mean,
don't
I'm
know.
sure. I'm sure I never got harassed at this level. Uh, even growing up in Virginia, when I lived in Virginia. But I feel like it happens a lot, and I don't know how anyone could trust a high school named after a Disney villain. So I think that this absolutely
I love that.
I think this is absolutely horrible. I'm glad that the grandmother is standing on business and persecuting the and going after the school because they've done nothing. That's you don't send your kids to school. And I hear from what I understood in the article, this is one of it's like a more prestigious school, and the grandmother had to make some sacrifices in order for her child to go to
Yeah.
school there. So I feel like if you've done that, then you that's not why you send your child to school to be harassed. You send them there to learn, to get the tools that can take them on to a successful life. So this should not be happening. They should not allow it. And I think that I don't want to blame it on the current administration, but a lot of people are emboldened and not sticking up for what is really right out there in the world. So keep fighting, Grandma.
Speaking of emboldened, there is a white supremacist gay porn star by the name of Corey
I wish
Mendelson.
I
Maybe
could
you
trade.
know him, who was arrested for domestic battery after assaulting MAGA husband Jared Mitchell and a 19-year-old boyfriend. So I don't know if you're aware of him, but it is really crazy because Corey Mendelsohn, he goes by Big C, was arrested because he's 44 years old, was arrested at his house in Keene, California. It's kind of a rural area, a ranch area about 3 hours outside of Los Angeles, and he essentially assaulted his boyfriend and or his husband, correct? Is
Yes,
it
his
his husband?
husband.
His
I think they're
husband
married.
and his 19-year-old boyfriend as well.
Yes.
And Mendelssohn has been released on bail, and we were looking at some of the footage because it's really crazy. He has been in the media not for good reasons, for MAGA, for assault, and it's not looking really good. The What were your thoughts on this? Because when you heard about this,
Child, this is trash. I used to watch
trash, exactly.
I used to watch a lot of his content. I used to thought it was really hot before, and then one time I was jacking off to something. He was having sex with this beautiful black man, right? They were in the shower or something like that. I was about to come. It was so hot. Then I heard him say the N-word. And I was like, my dick almost went inside, almost had a vagina. I did not know what to do with myself. Was I was flabbergasted. I could not believe that. First of all, somebody would allow a white man to call them this name while they were having sex, and then that this guy was so bold to say this on video and then release it to the world. I was like, what, where, who, how? So I am not surprised that these people are being uh, brought up on charges of domestic assault. I think that this is something that I don't know. I just can't stand beside it. I can't even like comment on it because I don't care one way or the other if they go to jail. I'm actually might be a little happy if he went to jail because this is ridiculous. So,
Don't put me
yeah.
on a jury trial for this one too, because turns out I speak up in the jury, and I'm
Get
like,
them
yeah. And if it was this
guilty,
case,
honey.
yeah. Bryce says, Big C, the race play king. He can have several seats. He's making so much money making race play content. It's one of the most popular gay porn categories today, according to our listener,
What?
Bryce. Doug says, put him in jail, take the key and melt that key. Yeah. I mean, race
Also,
play is a thing,
I don't think
but
people should anybody should be a victim of domestic violence, but I don't know. I just can't tap in on this one. I can't like advocate for either side knowing I don't know. I just can't. But I don't want anybody to get hit at the end of the day. So
this is a
yeah.
weird question. And but if you were
Hmm.
to tell, if somebody was a person of color like us and into race
Hmm.
play, would you suggest that they go to therapy to really dissect that? Or you know how, like, in BDSM culture, sub dom, and there's various versions on humiliation, and I've gotten
Yeah.
into sub, that within those parameters, it can exist, but outside of the world. How would you go as a form or as a life coach?
Someone who's been trained as a life coach, that's really hard for me to wrap my head around. I really don't understand how, like, that's degradation at its highest form.
But
So
so is dom sub in many
I
ways.
know, I get it, but I feel like from what you've told me about some of the things, it's also about power when it comes to some of the things in dom sub. Like the sub has power in those situations, and it's like, but I can't wrap my head around this one. And
I
for
feel like
me,
if I had that, I would wanna go to therapy if this was my thing, because for all our ancestors, I would feel I was doing them wrong, and I would wanna look at that.
so I was just about to say, yeah, I agree with you on that because I feel like there has to be or there could be, I should say, there doesn't necessarily have to be a part of you that uh, feels less than. I feel like that is an issue. For me, that would be why I would actually do something like that. I would never do anything like that. But I feel like the reason that I could want to do that would be because I felt like I was less than, or maybe I need to, and I would want to address that. Like you said, I would want to feel uh, I would want that feeling to not exist personally. I don't know. Like I said, I have no idea what would drive a person to do something like that. And I'm a person that doesn't want to yuck anybody's yum, but girl,
Yeah, I
really?
know, I know. I mean, because yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
get it. I can't. Oh man, it just really blows my mind. And Bryce saying that it's one of the most popular gay porn categories.
That's
That's something that is
surprising. Yeah.
surprising, a little bit alarming to me. So I don't know. I yeah,
Let's move on
not for
to
me. I will end it with that. It's not for me.
me either. Uh, okay, recently a journalist asked the question, "What does a top smell like?" He went deep undercover to learn the fragrant truth. And when he did so, there are things like pheromones that we emit, apparently, but research shows there's a scientific reason why pheromones are called the smell of love. Some chemicals and the smells they produce have been found to increase attraction across gender spectrum. So when it comes to tops, what is the smell of choice? And there was one journalist, gay journalist, that went through a whole host of reasoning to get to the bottom of this pressing questions. What he found was pretty interesting. The only Basically what he found was that 50 self-professed tops to find out what they like to wear as their signature scent, and his findings were kind of surprising. I'll read a few, we'll discuss. He explains the biggest category being no scent whatsoever. He found that about 36% of respondents claimed to wear nothing at all. That's not surprising. Tops like their own smell, I feel. There's that salty pits, that natural smell that I think many people like. I'm not one of them, but then he went on to look at a little bit more. He also found that a musky smell, and there was certain uh, sense that actually drew on, masculine. So English pear and freesia were kind of some smells that
Mm,
really resonated with some. Low key,
English
bottom
pear.
coated, but yeah, that's what others were. uh, Paco Rabanne. A lot of people liked the Gautier fragrance. So a lot of those fragrances that are commercial, but then also some that were like deeper, like really like in New York, we like a certain smell. I bought for my wedding, I found a signature fragrance that I wanted to wear that is dark, leathery, that was developed by a fragrance perfumery, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And it's dark, it's leathery, it's top energy, especially when I want to seduce
Hey.
my husband. Do you think there's an actual fragrance that tops like to have?
Um, so I wear natural deodorant. So many times, especially right now, in this moment, I'm so glad you guys can't smell me on on the podcast because I'm a little musky right now. I haven't, because there is a line, honey. When you cross over into BO and you actually like start to stink, then that is not a pleasant. But a little bit of like after gym, maybe you haven't worn deodorant for about a couple hours. When you start to get that little musk going on, that is a very pleasurable smell. So, but if I'm going out or I'm going on a date, like we were talking about earlier, I definitely double up on the deodorant, and I use a couple different colognes, but yeah, I forget what they are, but none of the ones that you mentioned before, but they're just some randos. So, yeah. I like to
Yeah,
smell individual though. I don't like to smell like other people.
me too. I mean, when I was searching for, because I wanted a wedding fragrance, I wanted it everything had to be unique for the wedding. And but I've carried this fragrance. It's dark, it's leathery, it's a little bit of like that old clothes, that's dirty laundry, but it's not dirty laundry,
Yeah.
and I really I find it somewhat intoxicating, and I love it, and I like that, but I'm like you, I don't want that BO smell or any of those things going on.
Not
No,
when I
thank
go
you,
out. In the
ma'am.
bed, I'm okay with. I like a little stinky in the bed.
Okay.
But when I'm going out, I like a nice airy scent. I don't necessarily like a dark, heavy scent, but I like it to be light and not necessarily I don't like fruity, but I like just airy and just delicious. And I like to smell like fresh laundry a lot of times.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on, Coleman Domingo is feeling sexy as well recently, and he says he's feeling sexier than ever at 55. I didn't feel this way in my 20s or 30s. I feel sexier. I didn't feel this way in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. I feel I'm getting better at being in my body and being clear about what I do. It's a gift you're given when you're in your 50s, and no one tells you that. You have you just have to experience it for yourself. When I tell people I'm 55 and they say you look like you're in your 30s, it's a compliment. But I also say, no, this is what 55 looks like. When you take care of yourself, when you are loved, when you are joyful, I hope I look even better at 65. Well, okay, maybe it doesn't help that he's an Academy Award winner now and recognized all over the world, but and dressed by every designer on the planet.
But
But
he does look younger than 55 for
he does
sure.
look younger. I mentioned before, I used to know him in San Francisco. Like throughout, we used to have a different website, my sister and and we interviewed him throughout the early years, and I always loved talking to Coleman. But I will say, because he's a year older than myself, that it really took me, no matter how much modeling I did or people put me on this billboard, not billboard, but like cover or magazine, that in my 50s I've owned it a lot more. It's a lot harder, maybe, and money does help with certain things to look a little bit more, whatever, but
Youthful.
youthful.
Fresh.
But I back to confidence and connect. It all comes
I
back to
love
my app that, yeah, confidence comes. You own your look, you own who you are, and that is attractive. When you're younger, maybe you don't always have that. Kudos to the, Gen Z millennials that are finding it early on. I'm always such an admiration when I meet young people that really own it and as at an early age. But what do you have to say with what Coleman is saying?
Oh, I feel so good to get mixed up with Coleman Domingo. That you just complimented me. I love it. Thank you, darling. No, yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think that uh maybe he feels more sexy because he's getting more confident. I think that's a thing that happens as you get older. But I do think that he looks fantastic, and I think that he looks younger than his years, and he should definitely be confident because he's stepping into that, and it's sexy. So good on you, Coleman.
Yeah, yeah. And taking care of yourself throughout the years is really helps you feel good and grounded and wherever you're at. And so keep up with that. Okay, we love giving advice on this show, and today is no different than any other. We were really surprised by a recent Reddit that said only, actually, it wasn't even Reddit, it was a GQ magazine statistic that said that only 28% of men are comfortable seeing two men kiss. Does
Mm.
this surprise you?
Yeah, they've seen plenty of gay men kiss over the years, like on TV. This is why representation matters. This is why
It really
we should
does.
we should have so much more out there in the world because 28, that's low. That's about where Trump's approval rating is right now. So I think that we definitely need to get those people more exposed to, you know, gay love because it's not all about sex. It's about people showing affection to one another. And I think that we need to get that higher because it's not something that people should be afraid of or uncomfortable about. Like, am I uncomfortable watching a man and a woman kiss? No, who cares? I think it's beautiful. I mean, get a room, but if it's that deep, like if it's not a peck, if it's like two people just down each other's throats, yes, get a room. But if it's just a peck, and this is why people, I'm sorry to keep going, but this is why people feel so uncomfortable being gay and open in spaces, because people are uncomfortable with seeing two men kiss. Like, that's ridiculous to me. I'm showing my partner affection, and it shouldn't be something I should be ashamed of.
I gotta tell you, it's deeply embedded. I'm not really surprised by these statistics that it has permeated into our community as well. Even for the wedding, I had moments where I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have not just my gay friends at the wedding, but I'm gonna have my mom and
Mhm.
other people there. And I was thinking about that moment when they say, do you take Diego and we you are now pronounced husband and husband, that when we have to kiss. And I was thinking about that, like, what will that
Wow.
look like? How will I feel? Well, in the end, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
And
that was a
I,
delicious
oh,
space.
it was great. And I was even thinking about, like, because Diego said, "Oh, we're gonna do a first dance," and wouldn't you know it, that they put smoke for us. Our song was
I
"Kiss of Life" by Sade, and
so
they were
good.
pushing out smoke, so it looked like we were on clouds. And if you had told me that in a meeting, like, that's how you're gonna do your first dance, I would have been like, "Absolutely not, no." But
I
when I
loved
saw it,
it.
I was like, "Oh my god," it did feel like I was on clouds. It was my moment. It was amazing, and everybody loved it. We posted it on social media, and people that I so I just think years and years of embedded of a heterosexual model that has been the blueprint for so many of us, that even some of us struggle with being comfortable with this. Ultimately, I was fine and I went with it. I'm like, I'm doing this. So,
Yeah,
but I'm not surprised at that number. But I think you're right. Representation matters. That's why we push for it. That's why we need to be seen more. That's why it's not gratuitous. We need to normalize this. I feel like we've talked about it on this show. We're more comfortable seeing two women kiss than we are two men
it's
kiss
true.
because of years and years of just layered, just homophobia and what that would actually mean if two men were together, and just it just goes on and on and on. And
Yeah.
we're slowly pulling and making these strides, but we just have to keep doing this work. So yeah, absolutely, we need to see more of it. Doug, watching us live, says maybe some of those men seeing it brings up feelings they are trying to repress. Yeah, that could
There it
definitely
is.
be. Yeah,
Bloop.
because ultimately, what do you care if you're like, I think it's
They're
a little bit
jealous.
of that, and it's a little bit of just not enough representation. But we
Yeah,
started Hot Topics with a high school of football players that are really, there's a federal
harassing.
lawsuit that are
Yeah.
harassing this gay. What do you care if he's wearing makeup? Do your football, be prom king. Like, who cares about him over here? What does that say about you, right?
A
Look
football
in the mirror.
player? I don't think I know.
Yeah,
Tell you what
let's
it
do
meant about the
one.
football players in my high school. Anyway.
Exactly. Okay. I think we
Okay.
have time to do this one really quickly. There is no thirst trap tonight, sadly, but we can do this. We love giving advice. By the way, you can always reach out to us too we'll give our handles at the end of the show. But a guy that love bombed me for 5 dates abruptly decided to finish it when things seemed to be great and left me with no idea what happened. They flooded Basically, he loved bombed somebody for so long, right, Cody? You wanna
Yeah.
summarize this and we'll give her a quick take?
They went on 4 or 5 dates, and then after that, no further explanation, they just broke up with them, and so, yeah, he also said it's a good thing I'm giving space for another guy in your heart, which is kinda like, really? It's a punch in the face if you ask me. What
Yeah,
do you
I
think,
mean, you
Steve?
never really know where somebody's at, essentially, but that's crazy after all these dates that, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
You're right, you never know, but I feel like if you love somebody, if you're love bombing somebody, then I feel like this is, like, coming out of nowhere, and it really hurts, so I really feel bad for this guy.
We could continue talking all night. I'm so excited about my new app. It's called Connect and Confidence, and I will list it all in show notes, but you can go to studio.com/Stevie. Follow my co host Kodi on the gram and Blue Sky at the same handle at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am underscore Stevie. And in the meantime, thanks, live audience. Continue
Thanks, live
having
audience.
hot,
Hot,
gay
gay,
sex.
sad.
Thanks.